Okay, if you've made the decision to get a Panamera, it's likely because it's the nearest thing to a four-door 911. And among Panameras, this one is the nearest of all. Let's drive the 2012 Porsche Panamera Turbo S and check the tech.
Watch these videos know I've got an ongoing love-hate relationship with the Panamera. I love to drive it. I hate to look at it and would hate to pay for it. It's this big pudgy looking thing. It looks like a beached whale in any color. Then when you go and paint it beluga white, are you kidding? This is one seriously unattractive ride, but that's not what we're here for. Let's get inside. Now, the inside of a Panamera is admittedly a very nice place to sit, go driving, take a nap, just about anything. This is a nicely appointed car, but it's very familiar at this point. We've seen this new style Porsche console, which is kind of this high rising thing. It gets kind of button crazy down here on this sort of spine of buttons that are in sort of an order, but not really. They just kind of got everything sprayed around here. Not much has changed up here, though, since the last Panamera we saw. We have a good sort of a 3D flyover view available on the nav screen. You've got hard buttons down here for all your major functions, but this is also a touchscreen. Now, a Turbo S is only available with one gearbox, the PDK, which is some really long German phrase for double clutch manual. And you've got this very simple gate. And you've got your shift paddles. Well, really, what are these things? Kind of like aluminized wedges to give you up and down shift on either side. It's an ambidextrous wheel. Oh, check this out. Because we have a high trim with a PDK, you've got this really cool indicator. It looks like it's just a nameplate that tells you got a PDK, like you got to be reminded of that. But you've got these illuminating indicators, Sport, Sport Plus, and Launch Control on the right, because you can put this thing into all those modes, partly because we have a Sport Chrono package. That's what the chronometer on the dash tells you if you don't even see the spec sheet. You've got these two Sport buttons. The Sport is going to tighten up everything from shifting to throttle response to suspension behavior. Sport Plus takes you into a launch control mode, and this one's interesting. This is your automatic start, stop, defeat button. So when you come to a stop, it's going to shut down, lift off the brake, it's going to refire. You can defeat that here. Our car has a reverse camera, and you can see when I've got that up, you also have an overlay of the sonar map front and rear. That's a nice blending of indications. I like when it's all together like that. Gauges are almost entirely classic Porsche analog. They do the 5-ring thing, but I love the one second from the right. That's the roughly 4.8-inch round display that can show just about any aspect of the main head unit, which they call a PCM. You can dedicate that to any part of it, like audio there and nav here. Navigation, as I mentioned, is a good-looking screen. Here's how I change my map view. You got a lot of choices here. Not just the bird's eye, there's also weather display and a satellite image. Bluetooth hands-free is stock, and when you do have a phone paired up, you can also do A2DP Bluetooth streaming as part of this head unit base. And whenever you're listening to, you've got two output systems. The standard rig is a Bose system, 585 watts, I think it is, 13 speakers plus a powered sub. That's going to be a good sounding system, but if you look at the script on our speakers, we've got the big boy, the $4,000 option, the Burmester sound system. That gets you to 1,000 watts of oomph through a 16-channel surround sound amp, ribbon tweeter technology, and a microphone somewhere in the cabin that lets the system adapt to various sorts of noise or interference inside the car in real time. Oh, by the way, I find this very telling. Look at all these books on the dash. This isn't staged, this is my work today. I shoot about 100 cars a year, most of them full of tech. I seldom have to break out this many manuals. There's something vaguely unintuitive about the PCM head unit these guys operate. Okay, now the engine on a Turbo S is a big part of the Panamera story when you go to this level. That's part of why it costs so damn much. It's a 4.8-liter V8 with two discrete turbos, a true twin turbo. You can see each one down the side of the motor right there. You've got direct injection as well, Vario Cam, which is Porsche's very elaborate variable cam and timing system for lift and event. And then on top of all this, you've got this beautiful engineering of a Porsche motor. So everything's happening here at a high level. The result, 550 horsepower, 553 foot-pounds of torque. Gets this 43 98-pound beast up to 60 in 3.6 seconds. Always going through all-wheel drive, that's a given on a Turbo S, and through that PDK 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox. Oh, check this out. Porsche loves electric controllable rear wings. This one's slick. Look how it's segmented. This reminds me of those IBM ThinkPads from the late 90s where they had the butterfly keyboard. It comes up at a certain width and then it expands to give you more bite in the air when it's actually up. Kind of cool. The first thing you notice in this car is you got some real 911 DNA in here. That's a pretty good trick. Now, what you're totally aware of is you do have a longer wheelbase and a lot more car longitudinally you're dealing with than in a sports car. But this car does a lot to get around it. All-wheel drive is really helping, and of course that's tuned toward performance driving, not toward off-road. The power comes on real nicely. Twin turbos are great for that. Neither one of them has to do everything. They only have one bank apiece, and they can be very responsive. But the power comes on like a bigger engine that is naturally aspirated. Great exhaust note. Steering is not electric in this car. It's a advanced but hydraulic, accessory-driven power steering. Feels good. Whole damn car feels good. I gotta say, as much as I think this car is ugly, pretentious, pompous, expensive, it sure is a joy to drive. Okay, let's price our big turbo Baleen. This 2012 Porsche Panamera Turbo S, top of the stack, is $174 grand. That includes most of the tech I showed you, as well as the PDK dual clutch gearbox and all-wheel drive. However, there are a few things you can add if you want to round it up to 200. First of all, voice command. For some reason, not included, $595 a la carte. Go figure. The rear seat charging cradle for your smartphone, $890. You could buy every charger at Best Buy for that much money. I'd seriously blow off the rear seat entertainment system for $3 grand. It's just not that cool. Burmester audio is $4,000 on its own. Adaptive cruise is $2,500. We also have that. Blind spot warning, another $850. And that's not even touching all the bespoke interior stuff you can do on a Porsche. You can spend a week just configuring that stuff.